What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
And special guest today with us, my brother-in-law and friend, Michael Boyd.
Stranger danger.
How's it going?
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. We're excited to have you on, too. We'll introduce you in a second. We're going to roll through my normal spiel here really quick to introduce the show a little bit. But Team Chat Podcast is a weekly video game show where we talk about, obviously, video games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out on Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Central Time, and you can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and others. You can also watch a video version of each episode on YouTube. So head over to youtube.com/teamchatpodcast to watch those. You can find us on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our Discord server where we can love to talk to you about games when we're not on here recording the show. And finally, if you're really loving what we're creating for you each and every week, you can head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. And in return, we'll give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release and access to other neat little goodies, such as a private channel on our Discord server. And for our patrons at our $5 tier, you get access to our secondary show, Team Chit Chat, where that we release out there. That is a patron exclusive show for the first 2 weeks, and then it goes out into the general public where everyone can enjoy it. But if you don't do that, that's totally fine. We completely understand. We would just still really appreciate your support in either writing us a review, sharing it with your friends, telling your friends in person, all those great things to get the word out there about the greatness of Team Chat Podcast. We really appreciate it, and we love each and every one of our listeners. Well, before we jump into the moment with Mogan, I felt like it was kind of going.
I think that's the first time you've ever described the perks as goodies.
Well, I normally say like fun tidbits, and I feel like
I'm not actually sure which one is worse.
I feel like you don't like tidbits.
Both are bad.
Well, before we get to the moment with Mogan, let's have a brief introduction here with Michael. So, tell us about yourself. How did you get into gaming? What are some of your favorite games? What is your current favorite game, I guess?
Yeah, so got into gaming pretty early on in my childhood. My brother, who's 8 years older than I am, he had a Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo.
Classic.
Nice.
So I grew up with those, playing the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong, old Mario, and then obviously my favorite was the Legend of Zelda franchise. That's really what kickstarted.
A fun choice.
That's really what
vintage.
kickstarted the whole gaming adventure. And then first system that I bought was PS3. No, that's a lie. It's PS2. And I can't really remember anything from that except the Return of the King game, which they need to make a remake of.
That game is amazing.
So awesome. But yeah, so it's been, pretty ingrained into my childhood and adulthood. And so...
I got to say, I was very pleased when I first met you, when you started dating my sister and everything. And I learned that you gamed, and I was like, yes, he is the chosen one. She has done well. So.
Imagine how much worse it would have been otherwise.
I know, right? but no. So then if you liked all those older games, what would you say is your favorite game of all time?
Favorite game of all time. I'm pretty hooked.
It can be a hard one to answer.
Yeah. I think currently, if there's a game that I could go back and play every single day and never get bored of, it'd be the Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War. Either of those.
Pretty
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty recent. Those are the games where it's like, it's a great storyline, but also just great to go in and just slaughter a bunch of orcs.
Right.
And easy way to pass time. And so probably
you're a huge Lord of the Rings fan anyway too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's like a wonderful blend of all the two things together.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Well, before we get into our main topic, which is going to be a whole lot of, honestly, this is one of the episodes where we felt like we just want to talk about what we've been playing lately. We've had a couple of review-heavy episodes in the last few weeks, so we wanted to catch up on what we had been playing. And this is a perfect episode for Michael to jump in on as well with us. So before we do that, though, let's find out what's coming out soon and any other little tidbits of news. Saying it again, just trying it out a little bit more. Sorry about that. In our moment with Mogan.
So, as of this episode's air date, having come out just yesterday, Dawn of Fear came out for the PlayStation 4. And then as of today, February 4th, we have Life is Strange 2 Complete Season. We should have waited. God, we should have waited. Anyways, that's for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. That is all 5 episodes of Life is Strange 2. Personally cannot recommend, but for anybody else that might be thinking about it, now's the time.
We need to circle around and see what Fuchsia thinks of it.
Yeah,
so far.
we do. I actually missed all of her playthrough about it, mostly because it was burning my eyes to have to watch it again. I tried, but
I love how during
didn't
the
work out.
episodes we talk about it that your opinions of it were slightly more reserved. Now that we're done, you're just like, no,
I was
burning all
trying
bridges.
to be like objective and fair and like see the silver lining, but now that we're out of the woods, I'm like, no, you know what?
No, there's none
that's
of
a
it
chapter
there.
in my life I'm ready to close. Also out on February 4th, we have Monster Energy Supercross 3 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
That's Monster branded. I was thinking at first, like when you first started saying it, like Monster Hunter World, like it was something like that. But
It
no,
would be
it's
so much more
branded.
fun if that were the
Got
case,
it.
but unfortunately. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics comes out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Mac. I don't know anything about the game. I do love the Dark Crystal, but they at least get 1 star for bothering to put it on Mac. That's out on February 4th as well. The Sims 4 Tiny Living Expansion for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and that's it. Comes out on February 4th too. Zombie Army 4 Dead War. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And then a little bit later this week on February 6th, we have Grand Blue Fantasy Versus for PlayStation 4. Knights and Bikes. That sounds fun.
That does. I've actually seen a little bit of that, and that does actually look really fun. It looks like a fun little like cartoony adventure. You are like kids on bikes, right?
Oh, how cute.
It looks pretty fun.
That's out for Switch also on February 6th. We have Kunai for Switch and PC, and then closing out the end of the week, the Turing Test for Switch on February 7, and then a little bit later in the weekend, AO Tennis 2 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. A lot of stuff is actually coming out this week.
Yeah.
And then in case you haven't seen the news yet, I'm pretty sure this is legit. I just saw it, so if it winds up being a hoax, my bad. But it appears as though Nintendo has announced a special collector's edition for Animal Crossing New Horizons official Switch console.
And it's not
Not a Switch
Not a
Lite.
Switch Lite.
It looks like a real Switch. It's got beautiful, like mint green and kind of, I guess, tropical blue, like turquoise blue Joy-Con. Very relaxing look to it. And then the dock is kind of like a white color, and it has Tom Nook and Timmy and Tommy on the front of it, and it comes with like a special kind of tropical themed carrying case. So if I had many more dollars, I would 100% get it. So hopefully that is true, and that will be coming out in March.
Yeah, because speaking of Fuchsia, again, when she was on her episode with us and she was talking about Animal Crossing, she was afraid that it was only going to come out with a special edition for the Switch Lite. So, which she wouldn't be, she was sad about because she wouldn't be able to stream from it.
See,
so
the
now
thing
it's,
is,
that's very exciting.
It is very exciting for her, but also if they made an Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch Lite, I would probably buy that because I don't have a Switch Lite yet, and if there was one for Animal Crossing, heck yeah, I would buy into that. Why not?
Very cool.
But as far as I can tell, the New Horizons edition is going to be $299.99 US dollars.
Okay.
$299.99 USD.
Very cool, very cool. Well, so, like I said, we're going to move into... Oh, wait. One thing on the news that I did want to add in really quick is that PlayStation announced their games that are coming out free with PS Plus this month, and they are bangers.
It is 2 bangers.
Really good ones. The entire BioShock collection for PS4 is going to be coming out. So that's going to give you BioShock, BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite. And the second game that they're handing out for free this in February is The Sims 4.
That's exciting.
Very
I'm
exciting.
definitely going to get The Sims. Obviously, I already own the BioShock collection, and I love it and would absolutely recommend. The series has its flaws. BioShock Infinite was very divisive, but I think they're all fantastic games. Would recommend.
I need to finish them. So because I had them on, I bought a collection. It was like the Rapture collection, I think, that had BioShock 1 and 2 for PS3.
Yeah.
And then BioShock Infinite was a PS Plus game by itself way back when they were still doing it for the PS3.
Maybe
I
that's
think
what I was
previously
thinking
before
of.
PS4 it was even out, I think.
Okay.
So I have all 3 of them already. They're just on my PS4. I mean, my PS3. So if you're getting them to me on my PS4, absolutely. For free, digitally.
Yeah,
yes.
for free. Why not?
Woohoo!
Go for it.
So that was pretty exciting. But like I said, our main topic today is we've been going through talking about some heavy reviews with our Yoshi's Crafted World review last week, and then Blasphemous and Wonder Song the week before that, or a couple weeks before that, I guess. So we just wanted to slow it down a little bit more and just talk about what games we have been playing, because there's been a lot of fun stuff, and also with Michael being here too, learn a little bit more about some of his gaming habits and what he's currently going through. So actually, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so recently just bought a Nintendo Switch, and so have been super absorbed into the Switch world.
Are you mad at yourself now that you know the Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch is coming
See,
out?
I never played Animal Crossing, so you've
now's the
inspired
time.
me to like. Mogan has inspired me. I need to get this game.
Yeah,
and
get
so
it. Everyone loves Animal Crossing.
definitely. But yeah, my wife and I love to play Mario Kart. But for me, for my gaming time, completely absorbed into Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild right now.
Excellent.
And it's been fantastic. Also super frustrating when your weapons break on you in the middle of a fight, but it's okay. But it's been a fantastic game so
That's
far.
awesome. I just very recently went back and started actually bothering to finish the DLC packs because I finished Breath of the Wild a few months after the game came out, superbly obsessed with it, and then I took a nice long break because I burned myself out. But coming back in the DLC, I was reminded brutally of the weapon frailty, and it is a very annoying system that I still think they should fix in post. But overall, it is just an amazing game, and I'm always very jealous when I meet new people that are like experiencing it for the first time because I wish that were me again. I want to get like one of those sitcom style comas where I wake back up and I have like a lot of memory loss, and then I get to play Breath of the Wild all over again. So Jared, that is one of my awakening from a coma wishes.
Okay.
So I'm counting on you.
I will remember
to
that.
bring my Switch to me with Breath of the Wild. Don't tell me anything about it.
Do you want me to bring it to you with your saves wiped, so you'll
Oh,
have
yeah,
no
wipe-
no recollection?
Get rid of them.
I'll
I can
say,
do it all
Mogan,
again.
this game came out
Today.
just today, just for you to wake up to.
Nintendo rushed you this copy in pre-development to celebrate your coming out of a coma. Reggie
Okay.
Fils-Aimé is still in
Taking
charge of
notes.
Nintendo.
I will add this to your wishes for the medical emergency.
Nothing
But
against
hopefully-
Doug Bowser. I just want to go back to a time when Reggie was in charge.
So how far into it are you? Do you think? Because like me, I've never been able to advance farther than the first Divine Beast. It's
Yeah,
I just keep getting
so
on
far
the
I've
other
only
fix.
beaten one Divine Beast, the first one. I can't even remember the name because they're all so different.
Was
but
it watery?
It was the elephant.
Ruta.
Varuta sounds familiar, something like that. And then kind of have diverted from the main quest and have been doing a lot of the side quests and finding all of the temples, or not temples, but the shrines. Just because I die really quickly right now. So I have to get those spirit orbs so I can get those hearts.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just so fun to like take that open world concept to Zelda, which was missing in all the earlier games as far as expansive as it is now, and like being able to apply that to like the games I grew up with. It's been fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's one for me. I've talked about this at length before. It's like I've.
Really bringing the mood in the room down.
I'm sorry.
With your
Okay,
Breath
I won't.
of the
I won't
Wild
talk about. I won't talk.
shit.
I'm not.
Just
Gonna, I won't
kidding,
talk.
you can.
I won't talk shit on it. I was just gonna say that it's like it's one that like I see the appeal of. I just for some reason have the hardest time getting into it, and I'll beat it in time for Breath of the Wild 3 to come out.
You mean 2?
No, I'm saying it's going to take me
okay,
so
I
long.
get the joke now. My bad. It kind of like flew over my head because I was seeing red.
I know.
Did you play Skyrim?
No.
Okay, gotcha. I have also never played Skyrim, but everybody and their mother has, and
Yeah,
also their
you definitely
grandmothers.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
And everybody that I've talked to says that Breath of the Wild is very similar to
Oh, no,
Skyrim.
that makes me think
so.
I won't like Skyrim then. I've
You
heard
might
Your
not,
weapons don't
honestly.
break in Skyrim. Though.
that's honestly like it's one of those things. That is one of the most upsetting things about Breath of the Wild is because of that. It goes against everything because it's like you feel like you need to save all your weapons or your high powered ones at least for when you actually fight somebody big. And then I still feel like every time I come up against somebody who I actually need powerful weapons against, all my good ones are broken because I still needed to use them for whatever reason.
You have to be able to find enough Koroks who give you Korok seeds so that you can increase the amount of slots. Because now I've just got stacks on stacks on stacks of bows, shields, swords, and such.
How do you carry it all? Link is such a
He's very strong.
apparently.
Don't worry about
100
it.
years of slumber.
he was secretly lifting that whole time.
His muscles did not atrophy, and
They
quite
did
the
not.
opposite, in fact.
It's like that therapy where they shock your muscles.
Yeah.
That's what the little bathtub was.
Just for
at
the whole
beginning
100
of the
years
game.
he was sleeping.
Exactly.
I just choose to believe it's kind of like Hermione's bag in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
everything fits in there just so nicely. And you
Right.
just pull it out.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, just unlimited storage. So, let's see, Mogan, what have you been?
I have gone back to one game and finished another.
Oh,
so
wow.
right after we did a review of Wandersong, I think that weekend after we had recorded, I beat it.
Oh, nice.
So I just beat Wandersong. It actually wound up being a little bit longer than I thought it was because it really kind of... The initial chapters, I think there are 7 total chapters of Wandersong, not 8 like I thought there might be. The total 7 chapters, the first 1 through 3 are really short and they go by really fast. And then once you hit chapter like 4, like the mid-game, they wind up being way longer because the next few locations you go to are much bigger, they're a lot more expansive, there's a lot more to do, and the story takes a really deep turn into its core subject matter that we talked about, which is the entire universe is about to be ended by your patron goddess because she's like, oh, sorry, it's just reset time. Nothing personal. I'm just hitting the reset button on the whole thing. And you are trying to save your entire universe, not just your world, the whole universe from being obliterated and reset until next time.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of Wandersong. And you play as a bard and you have to fight against your universe being obliterated through the power of friendship and song. And it's exactly my kind of game. So I will say that the game finished even higher than when I was reviewing it at the time. I would very much recommend it to absolutely anybody that is into the kind of game that really actively challenges norms in storytelling. I think finishing Wandersong without giving too much away, some of the really interesting themes that the game tried to explore, primarily through character development, were really identity. And, what does it mean to exist as XYZ role in a video game? Because the bard continuously struggles with the fact that he's not the hero. He's technically not the protagonist of his universe, air quotes. And he has a companion with him, Miriam the Witch, and she's a witch. She's all powerful. She can shoot lightning and stuff like that. And yet she's also not the hero. So it's these two people kind of struggling with their identities and where their place is in the world and how they can save the entire universe when they feel like specks of dust in the grand cosmos. So it went into some really interesting corners, never without getting too dark. I was very impressed that Greg Lobanov, I think is his name. He's the main director. It's his game. He had some really interesting motivations when he made it. He did an amazing job of maintaining the balance between a happy-go-lucky, charming, funny storyline against a central conflict that was actually very sad. And it does come to a resolution. I won't tell you one way or another whether it's good or bad or ambivalent, but the game comes to, I think, a really satisfying resolution. And overall, I am planning to play it again at some point, but I'm probably going to take a nice long break, let some things flow back out of my brain, and then I'll come back to it and have just as much fun as before.
How many hours do you think it was total?
I think I was guessing 10 to 12 based on feedback that I had seen from other sources, a couple of reviews and such. I think I actually wound up putting about 15 to 18 hours into it. So it's still a relatively short game. You arguably could play it faster. I was just busy derping around and I danced everywhere.
Nice.
Because there's the dedicated dance button so that the bard can dance at all times, during conversation, during cutscenes, when things really aren't dance appropriate. He's like, I just want to dance. And it's like, yeah, little bard, you do your thing. It inspired me so very much that I got a new drawing tablet over the holidays for like digital art, because I used to be almost good when I was back in my day when DeviantArt was still a thing.
You were an artist? That's
an
fun.
artiste. Well, in the game, there's a character called Aela, and she is basically the messenger of the goddess. You meet her really early on. And she's kind of like this cosmic rainbow girl with like this big hair that's like constantly changing rainbow chromatic colors. And she calls you Lil B, and she's your buddy. And I was so charmed by her design because the entire game has these really storybook kind of qualities to it. Her design is really simple, and I felt like it was such good practice that one of my first arts with my new tablet is a little character drawing of Aela, because I learned how to make gradients.
That's fun.
Really convenient, question mark?
Well, I'm excited to see that. I want to see the finished product.
I'll work on it and maybe I'll post it in the Discord.
You don't have to, but I just want to see it. So let's see. What have I been playing lately? I've actually gotten very heavily. Well, because I'm still waiting. I think it's now because the game got delayed. I think it's not until Ori comes out in March that is the first like big release of this year that I'm looking forward to. So I've been trying to go through a little bit more and clean up some games in the backlog, such as I finally restarted Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I actually was going to guess that. That was going to be my guess.
Nice. That
I would have been right for the first time
correct.
ever.
But Assassin's Creed, I'm farther than I got before. So
you're past the tutorial.
yes, I made it
Wow.
past the title screen. But because I really think I played 5 or 6 hours before I got completely distracted by Red Dead Redemption 2. But I also was playing very much in the mindset of I'm going to platinum this game, so I'm going to go ahead and get every location completed on the first island of Greece you start off on and everything like that. So the 5 to 6 hours that I actually got was very little actual story.
You did it to yourself.
I did.
You played yourself.
I did. I played myself very hard. But now I've taken on this new approach that we talked about in like our year in review episode, where I was just like, okay, no, I'm going to focus on the story, or else I'm never going to get through all these games I want to do. So I've been really pushing forward. I've gotten through. Again, I've probably played 6 hours plus again since I played it, but now it has been predominantly main story.
Now that you're running and gunning,
Yes,
figuratively speaking, with
exactly.
your spears.
I could be running and gunning with my bow and arrows. So there we go. So it still works. But yeah, getting started to get some different, some really cool armor sets and everything going through. I'm playing again as Cassandra. I still wanted to play as her. I didn't want to switch to Alexios, and I did have my first romance.
You know, I will say
wonderful.
I've never encountered a human being yet that used Alexios.
You know, I don't think I have either.
Yeah, no one.
Because everybody's like, Cassandra is badass.
She's just objectively the better option.
I do want to at least go back and see, after I finish this playthrough with her, and go back and at least start the game again as Alexios, so I can see like how they handle the beginning of the game. Because I could see it very easily where they simply swap the roles that the two play in the beginning. And so I'm very curious to see if that's actually how it happens and everything, or if Alexios has a completely different, well, I guess they could be similar and it wouldn't swap. Okay, I know where they would mirror each other, but then it would have to branch off and be a different thing. But I wonder how that all works. I don't know. See, I'm still curious
Anyways,
about it. Because
so tell me more about your first romance.
so it was the same woman, Odessa, that I discovered in my first few hours of playing, and I came back and went to her again, and I was just like, I'm not going to let you escape from me this time. And
Is that the side quest you were stuck on? She was playing hard to get, and you just couldn't
well, no,
manage
because
it.
it's very funny how the romance in this game is very different than it is with like a BioWare game or a Dragon Age or something like that, where you really, really, really have to work at trying to romance these characters.
Like real relationships?
Like real relationships? No, this one is very much the second conversation you have with Odessa after you rescue her from this camp, when she's a prisoner, being held prisoner. You can literally like say 2 things to her, and then you get the option with the heart next to it. And I was like, I'm going for it.
Oh, I didn't know that it like
So-
indicated to you which options were like romance options.
Yeah,
That's
and
funny.
so it's pretty funny. So I was just like, I'm going to see how hard I can push this. I was so over the top flirting with Odessa through the whole thing. It was amazing.
That's
She basically
awesome.
like, I'm trying to, because she's a descendant of Odysseus. And so I was just like, she comes up and she's talking to you about how she's wanting to fulfill this legacy. And I was just like, you could do that, or you could come sleep with me. That's basically how the
wow,
conversation
what a
goes.
pickup line.
It was hilarious. I was like, well, this is fun. And so every
Not
time I
even
would,
like a baby, I am your destiny. Come on, I could write better than that.
That's actually a very good line. That would be perfect. But no, so it was very much like you walk up to her after you free her from this camp, you're talking to her, she's like, I'm trying to do this, and she's like, has this internal conflict of does she just want to live her life, or does she want to live up to her family's name and everything, because and all this, and my response to that was, you're cute.
Wow, when you say it that way, Cassandra sounds like a scumbag.
It's pretty funny how
How unfortunate.
No, it is pretty. I will say it is very funny how quickly that you can just jump right to
Do
it and be
those
like,
hard
no,
pivots.
this is what I'm wanting. let's follow this track.
That's actually pretty
But then it
funny.
is cool though, because she leaves. Like, I think regardless of what choices or what you said to her, unless you intentionally like said something to piss her off, lead to you interacting with her again in the future. And so when I found her again later, she had more quests that go on. And then after you complete her quest line, you have the ability to actually recruit her as like a lieutenant on your ship, so she can travel with you for throughout the rest of the game and everything like that. But yeah, so that was pretty, getting more into these details and just figuring out too, because I did actually get to do one of the first conquest battles, which is something that's different from past Assassin's Creed, where it is legitimately a full scale, like big battlefield, and you're not trying to just take out individual opponents and everything like that. You know, like, I mean, you've played a lot of these Assassin's Creed games. You know that when you're going through a town, you might alert a whole bunch of guards and you might have like 5-10 guards chasing after you that you got to fight or whatever. But this is legitimately just an open battlefield. The Spartans are there, the Athenians are there, and you're in the mix fighting for whichever faction you've aligned yourself with. And so having that as a different part of a new thing in Assassin's Creed was really fun. And just too, also learning all the different move sets and everything, learning how the different abilities can really kick in and everything. Like I still just love that they added in the Spartan kick from 300. It's so fun.
That was a really good planning decision on their part.
It was smart.
Can
It
you
was
imagine
very
if there
smart.
hadn't been a
I
Sparta
know.
kick?
And you get to like use it at the very beginning of the game too, and then it's like one of the first abilities you can unlock. And I'm just like, absolutely, I'm going to do this, so I can just kick fools all over the place.
The first time you learn it or use it, is it like somebody into a well or over a cliff?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Because it's actually the very beginning of the game starts off and you play as Leonidas at the Battle of Thermopylae.
Oh my god!
And
Okay,
so
I actually didn't know that.
It legitimately is like there's this chieftain dude, and you can have the option to just like straight up run up and just like kick him off, and it's amazing.
That's
It's so
awesome.
fun. It's great. But yeah, so there you get all that stuff. But it's again, it takes a lot of what Assassin's Creed Origins did and did really well, and it does expand on them in a lot of different ways, like with the conquest battles and different things like that. And so I'm very much enjoying my time with it. But I did get sidetracked a lot, though. Again, yes. And well,
after all the grandstanding you just
I know,
did
I
about
know.
how you're going to play the story and make progress.
well, I didn't get distracted by side quests in that game. I got distracted by another game entirely.
Oh.
Apex Legends has pulled me back in.
Heavens to Betsy.
It's so good because they had this really cool new event that came out called the Grand Soiree, where basically it was quite a few days. It might have been like 14 days because they had like 7 events, I think, and each one took place. They had 7 events within this within this big event, and each one was like 2 days, and it would switch. But they were so different and fun. Like one was called like Gold Rush Duos. All the weapons were like the gold highest tier weapons. Ooh. Then there was one and you could only play with 2 people on your team instead of 3. And then there was one where it's always closing. The ring is constantly moving.
Oh, that's interesting.
Instead of going in stages and having the rest period. There's another one that was in the firing range. The last one that they had was called Dummy's Big Day. In the firing range of where you can go and practice and test out all the different weapons, you can some of the targets are these dummies. So they're like faceless. They basically look like crash test dummies and stuff like that, and they're bright colors. That's what you got to play as instead of the normal heroes.
That's awesome.
And they had random ultimates. They had random passive abilities. It was super fun. But I think my favorite of the event was it was only shotguns and sniper rifles with limited shields.
Shameful.
It was fun.
That does not sound fun at all.
No, it's
Mostly because I can't snipe to save my life.
Oh, I can't either. But it was really fun, though, because it made me feel like I could snipe because everybody was having to snipe and nobody was good at it. So it was really good. Have you played any of the Battle Royales or anything like
I
that?
haven't, except for like the one time I played when I was here last.
Good
Just
for you,
that
man.
5 minutes, and I died like 18 times.
Yeah. Yeah, resist the Battle Royale. It's a bad game platform.
But so that one got me, and I honestly was like, I'm just going to try this out. I'm going to see what happens. But then I wound up getting like super into it and playing it again. And now they just came out as of the day of this recording that the season 4 is going to start on February 4th, so with the day this episode releases. And they're introducing the new character, the long-teased and long-awaited character, Revenant. And they released a really cool trailer. He's another like robotic cyborg
I guess I
character.
didn't realize that he wasn't out yet.
Yeah,
I thought
he's not
he
yet.
was.
Well, they had Pathfinder, who's like the original robot hero, and now there's Revenant. But I got to hand it to EA and Respawn with how they marketed this, because they back on their Halloween event, Revenant like appears and is kind of like the host of that event. And then so everybody's like, oh yeah, Revenant's gonna be our season 4 hero or legend. And then it gets like last week they announced that the new hero was gonna be this guy named Forge. And everybody's like, what? Where'd he come from? And then everybody's like, well, have we been bamboozled? It sure seems like it, but everybody's like, no, it can't be Forged. It has to be Revenant because we've like found all these voice lines and everything by scrounging game files and all this other stuff. But then they release a cinematic short of like Forge being interviewed, and in this video, Revenant straight up comes up behind him and murders Forge.
That's really funny.
And that's how. And now Revenant is the one.
That's hilarious. Oh, so that's a nice little.
It was so cool.
That would have
so
been
unexpected.
That would have been a great April Fool's joke.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe they didn't hang on to it. They should have held on to that one.
So now Revenant looks like he's going to be a pretty badass character, and so I'm pretty excited to get to jump in and play as him. But yeah, so that's kind of been what I've been playing a lot lately. But let's see. Let's turn it back. What can we talk to you about? So some more, a little bit more. What are you looking forward to? So you got the Switch.
I did.
You've been playing Breath of the Wild. Yes. Also a lot of Mario Kart.
Yes.
What other games are you wanting? Like recommendations that maybe we could give you, or some good games or something like that.
I'm so far behind on all my other gaming. Like, still haven't played Assassin's Creed Origins, which the Assassin's Creed franchise is one of my favorites, and so still so behind on that. Still haven't played God of War, which is so disappointing that I haven't. There's just so much
good.
I have to do to catch up, and so yeah, like anything you can throw out there, just.
Good one.
All of mine are going to be indies. By the way, if you haven't played the greatest indie game and possibly the greatest game of all time, available now for Nintendo Switch and consoles everywhere, Hollow Knight, I would definitely recommend. Just want to make sure that everybody knows it's already out.
You would like.
Hollow Knight is awesome, and it's not expensive. You can get it on the Nintendo Switch store for like $15-$20.
Nice.
It frequently goes on sale. It's probably the best platformer action exploration game ever made. So pick it up if and when you can. It is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is a really good one. You've talked a lot about that one. I'm still trying to make my way through that one too, but again, Assassin's Creed.
Making your way downtown.
Yeah.
Walking fast.
Yep.
Faces pass.
Yep.
Your City of Tears bound.
Yep. But let's see. So you like the Assassin's Creed series a lot, and you've been playing through that one. Right now, you're in Breath of the Wild. But what about those kind of games like really grabs you? Like what makes those is like the combat of it, the promise of adventure in these open worlds. Like what kind of really attracts you to that kind of game?
Yeah, I think so much of it is just it starts out with combat based, and just those games are just inherently fun. But then they also just have such great stories, and so it's not just a game where you're running around hack and slash for no reason and that's it. You know, those games have their place, but when you can combine those with such a great story, and especially a game like Assassin's Creed that spans so many years.
Right.
I mean, Assassin's Creed was the first game I bought on PS3 and had no idea what it was about or anything.
The first one?
Yeah, the very first one. And it was like, I have no idea what this is about. And then also, especially with Assassin's Creed for me, I majored in history for my bachelor's degree. And so, like, looking at how they incorporate like actual historical events into that for me is just like a huge nerd moment.
Oh yeah,
all
same.
coalesce into one thing. And so being able, especially for those stories, to see like how the imagination that these people have to take actual historical events and then mix these things and like almost make you believe it could have happened that way, and it's just like makes you wish that it actually happened that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So with those games, do you like when it dabbles into like the modern storylines, or are you just like, I wish it would stay in the ancient times? Because that's what I've really noticed the series has done as it's gone on, especially with Origins and Odyssey. They have very limited how much interaction in the modern times there is.
Yeah,
which I am all for.
Yeah,
because I like the modern side quests. I like the incorporate that it is the tying together of the history with the modern and all this. And it gives a few like the sci-fi elements and different things like that. But still, though, it's like I bought this game because I want to explore history.
Yeah.
So I'm all about staying in it and wanting to stay in the past and everything.
Yeah, I definitely like you said, that intermingling of jumping back and forth between timelines.
Yeah.
But I think it was Black Flag where you first start, where you don't play as Desmond anymore.
Mm.
Was it Black Flag or was it Unity where that started? And you play as
Man,
I think it's Black Flag when you're working for
Yes.
Abstergo.
Abstergo. Yeah.
And so it's like you're mainly just like it's just a first person. You're not playing as Desmond or anything, and so it's very limited. And I think I like that a lot more when the story is more about the historical assassin character, and definitely enjoyed that a lot more. Just because it seems the gameplay is just so much better in that. Because when you're playing the modern storyline, and you're basically just kind of walking around and things like that.
That's another example of I don't think I've ever heard one single human person mention that their favorite or even lukewarm parts of the Assassin's Creed games are the modern times.
Because
no one ever even mentions them.
No.
I always forget that the games even have those parts because no one talks about them.
Yeah, because it is such a little part of it. But I know, like in the original, like in Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, it was a major part of the games.
Yeah.
Like you would cut
up through Revelations.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like where the Desmond saga ends.
I guess Ubisoft
so you're
finally
right,
did
then.
like...
It would be Black Flag then. Yeah, it doesn't.
They probably finally did enough polls and they were like, wow, people hate these parts of the game.
Well, and it makes sense, but like you remember in the very first one, how much walking around and like conversation and stuff you had to have before you could actually get in the Animus and go back and to play as Altair?
Yes.
So much.
And it's just like, I'm just going to walk from my confined bedroom to the Animus machine, and I just have to do this over and over again until I'm actually able to play the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
And it hints at like this mystery of stuff, but it's just like I remember being like, okay, so I'm doing this, then I'm doing this, gonna talk to Kristen Bell over here, and then I'm gonna.
Is it really Kristen
It
Bell?
is.
It is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you meet this
That's
character
awesome.
Lucy, and it's Kristen Bell. It was like one of the first things
That's
I think I ever
amazing.
saw her in. Really,
That may have been the first thing she was ever in. Obviously not, but
probably like past her Veronica Mars or around her Veronica Mars fame, I guess. But
wow.
but yeah, but it was. But that's one. So what would you say is your favorite Assassin's Creed then?
Oh, Black Flag.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the naval combat just blew it out of the water.
No, Black Flag was a great one. I still think I want to go back and play it. I still think 2 might be my. I want to play it because Origins to me is like I think my current favorite, but Assassin's Creed 2 was before that my favorite. So I need to go back and replay that one to see how it still stacks up against the rest.
I would.
Because I really love the character of Ezio.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It's like for Ezio definitely has, in my opinion, the best story arc, which that also helps that he had 3 games to do it.
Right.
But as far as gameplay and all the different aspects of the gameplay, Black Flag to me is the best one out there.
And 2, it was the first one that got onto PS4, so you had like the really good the substantial graphic jump and everything like that. And especially when you're in these literally lush green tropical locations, that paid off really well because it just really. I remember it was the first game I got for the PS4, and I was just like, oh man, this is nice.
Yeah. Well, and it was. I mean, Assassin's Creed 3 had a little bit of the movement dynamic change where it was a bit more realistic. But Black Flag was just the next step above.
Yeah.
And so, it was really like the big jump for the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Well, and 2, it was the one that let you finally have like dual pistols things. The pirate
And
pistols
dual swords.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool.
After Ezio's arc, was there ever a character that the Assassin's Creed series really focused on in that same way?
No, Ezio is the only
I
one.
wonder why.
I don't know, honestly. Like, it's cool that I think because maybe it allows them to jump more time periods.
I mean, I'm sure, but it just seems like people really seem to have enjoyed that entire series of games.
I mean, I would say those 3.
Well, and so much of it was because of Desmond.
Yeah.
Because Ezio is his direct ancestor.
Yeah.
And so then after you lose the connection with Desmond,
That
and you're
makes a little
playing
more
with
sense.
a different, and then because 3 and 4 connected as far as Edward and Hatham were father and son, and then you play as Hatham's son, which I can't remember his name.
Connor. Yeah, in 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I like that it did that, where it's like Assassin's Creed 3 sets you up, you're playing as Connor with Hatham and all that stuff, and then to go back and it does a time jump backwards.
Yeah.
Where you play as Edward Kenway, who was Hatham's father. So that was like a fun time jump and everything. I'm super excited about we've talked about it a little bit because they announced it a couple years ago at E3, but that's Skull and Bones, which is the like online pirate game that Ubisoft's developing that's based off of the naval combat and stuff like that.
That isn't the one that Microsoft made. Sea of Thieves.
No.
In my mind, they're all the same.
I've always said Skull and Bones looks like just because of different art style, like Skull and Bones has a more realistic art styles in the terms of similar to how Assassin's Creed looks, whereas
Gotcha.
Sea of Thieves is more a more cartoonish take. But very similar concept, yes. But I'm still super excited for Skull and Bones, but it's been kind of silent. We haven't heard much about it lately.
Well, maybe someday we'll get more info.
Maybe, hopefully. But so another part of gaming, though, that Michael overlaps with us really well is he is also a huge fan of soundtracks.
Yes.
Indeed. The finest art form there is in video games.
So what would be then? Because we've had several episodes where we talk about some of our favorite
Their
soundtracks and everything like that. And I know
favorites.
that he has prepared. I did give him that bit of heads up about doing the soundtrack spotlight. So he's got one picked out for us
Ooh,
to hit
oh
us with
boy.
at the end. But what would you say are like some of your favorite soundtracks from a video game?
Yeah. I mean, the Return of the King soundtrack, just because it was the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, which Howard Shore, amazing.
Yes.
That's cheating. That is,
It is cheating.
they had
But
a way bigger budget for that.
trying to think here off the top of my head. I mean, Assassin's Creed Revelations had a great soundtrack. That opening
Who
theme.
composed that one?
Jesper,
Jesper Kidd?
or is that one Lauren Balfe?
No, yeah, that one's Lauren Balfe, and then Jesper Kidd was...
Jesper Kidd did 1 and 2.
I think so.
Yeah, and then Lauren Balfe switched and he did Revelations and a couple others.
Yeah.
I think he did 3 also.
He may have. I can't remember. I used to have them on my old phone. And
Yeah.
Old phone went kaput.
I need to do that one. But Revelations is good. I actually bought the complete recordings version of that one. Do you have that one?
I do, yeah.
Oh, it's so great. It's like 80-something songs.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
That's too many songs.
No, it's great.
I had to explain that purchase to my mom back in the day.
Oh,
It's like,
man.
why did you just spend however much money on iTunes? And it's like, well, it was either
I
buy
can
these songs
explain.
individually for way more or spend this much.
You don't understand, Mom. It's the economy. I got us a deal, I swear.
Yeah, I remember when that popped up and I was like, yes. Because, I mean, that's the thing. And that's especially, it's so great about these soundtracks is like when they can give you something like that. Like if it's one especially that I love, like the Assassin's Creed soundtracks or anything like that, or even, not in game specifically, but with like the Witcher TV show that just came out, they just released its soundtrack and it's 55 songs and 3 hours long for a TV show soundtrack. But then I guess the Mandalorian did the same thing with their releasing each soundtrack per episode, which was awesome too. So it's just like, yes, give me more. Give me I even love that with the Black Flag, they released a album that was just the sea shanties that the sailors sing as you're going around. It's amazing.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this when we were talking about Wander Song, but fairly early on, you board a pirate ship to go somewhere. Did I mention this?
No, I don't think so.
Where, of course, you're boarding with pirates, and they're all like, they love sea shanties. So to steer your ship around, it's you and the entire crew singing sea shanties. And you're like steering the ship with the power of song. It was actually really charming, and it just made me laugh and laugh.
That's fun. I was really shocked, or not shocked, I guess, but like you had talked about how fun and colorful that game was, but then you shared just a screenshot of it on our Discord and everything. And I was like, oh man, this game is like really just charming in its colorful feel and everything, with just how like bright and everything, almost neon in
And
its
that
color
was
scheme.
actually a fairly tame screenshot. Most of them were a lot more in your face than that.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such I was like, the more I hear about it, I'm like, I might give that one a shot.
You might give it a shot. I will say that it's not really an action game. It
Yeah.
very much is about talking to different characters, getting the backstory. It really is about the story and narrative,
Right.
with some really interesting gameplay aspects. And it's amazing what they were able to do with it, given their central song wheel. It's like a ping wheel, but for song.
That's fun.
Given their central song wheel mechanic.
Well, it's because, and I've gotten, yes, you would have asked me a few years ago, and it's like, yeah, give me the combat stuff, and that's what makes a game good for me. But I mean, like, really, and because of games
Typical
that,
gamer bros.
but I mean, because of a lot of games that you've talked about on the show here, like, has really changed my opinion on that, and like, especially like games that we've played recently, like Grease and everything, like, it's super simple. You're
Grease
walking,
Lightning.
and it's just, it's a super simple game, but it's still, it's just. peaceful. It was
different kind of experience.
It is. It really is. And so I'm not against playing those experiences. Granted, yes, they may not necessarily become my number one of all time kind of game, but still, like the place for them in my heart and in my mind is more. I'm more open to them.
Exactly.
But yeah. Anything else, gaming wise in general, that you're here? Like, we want to talk to you about it. So, like, anything else that really, like, lately?
Give me a game you hate.
Ooh,
A game I hate.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
What
Good
are your
question.
feelings on the Uncharted series?
So those came as part of when I bought my PS4.
Because they're garbage and they have to bundle
they
them
had
with
to bundle them.
PS4s because otherwise no one would buy them. Yes, I see where you're going with this.
After
You
playing
know how
them,
Mogan feels about them now.
after playing them, I would have never have been like, well, I'm glad. My thing would have been, I'm glad I didn't spend money on those.
Oh, yes! Finally!
But I did enjoy playing them, but not if I had paid $60
That
for
should
them.
be Uncharted's new tagline. I'm glad I didn't spend money on this. Sick burn.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's awesome. I'm going to carry that in my heart for years to come.
You're so happy. You have found a friend for life now.
Oh, what a
but-
trash series.
But yeah, other than that, what's one that you just like really just like, or one that you thought was gonna be like, man, I'm gonna love this, and then you got into it and you're like, man, no, it's not for me.
It's probably just because I didn't give enough time, but I tried to play Dragon Age Inquisition.
Really?
And like I think it just because it took so long, and I didn't care for the combat style at
Yeah.
the time. It was very hard for me. That's probably more on a like indictment on my skill level as a gamer versus the game
That game
itself.
has
but
just a lot going on.
It was
and
so
it
much.
can feel really overwhelming. There's a lot to keep in mind, and there's so much to do. Even
lot
in the
more
really,
crafting in that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot more like resource management.
I mean,
and everything.
people adore it, and for good reason. But there is a lot to
It's
deal
one-
with in that game.
Yeah, I want to revisit it, but I do remember when I first played Origins, Dragon Age Origins, the very first one. That was the first probably very deep RPG I had ever played. So I wasn't, I'd seen like videos of it and seen everything. So I was expecting it to still be kind of more of a hack and slash play style. So I was very confused in the very first openings of that game when I would be running up and coming to enemies, how they kept killing me so easy. I'm like, I'm attacking. Why am I not swinging my sword? Not realizing that it's the input of attack. It's like the chain of moves rather than like hitting the button to go over and over and just swing your sword. So I kept like canceling my attacks.
Oh, Jared.
It took me a while to figure that one out, but yeah. So but since then and learned since I beat that one and Dragon Age 2, I've learned more how to like actually, it's the gamer's journey. You play new stuff, you figure out new things about it, and
Unless,
you figure
of
out
course,
new
you
ways.
give Breath of the Wild a try and just give up and don't make it very far.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Unless you just
Is
call
that
it
the gamer's
quits.
journey, Jared?
Calling me out, but yes, no, it doesn't work for every game, but some games, yes, it
You know
works,
what?
and
You
I improved.
tried.
I did.
You tried.
And it's still there, like, and it's one that I will continue. That I will probably go back to.
One that you'll
and
continue to
everything.
look at, think
Continue to
about
look
it,
at, be like,
and then won't do.
Do I want to take the effort to switch the cartridge out?
Oh my god.
No, I don't.
Absurd.
I'll just play Smash instead. But no, yeah, I'm still very, very into Civ 6 on my Switch right now,
Well, that's understandable.
which I would say pick that up when it gets cheap, if it does get cheap. Because I mean, have you played any of the Civ games before?
back like when they were on the computer.
Okay.
Am I thinking of the right one?
Yeah. Like the turn-based strategy where you're building cities.
Yeah,
and picking them
yeah.
apart.
I mean,
yeah.
Like it's probably gonna be bad like for my band director back in high school, but he would actually like play that during band. And
That's
so we
really
spent more
funny.
time playing that than we did actually rehearsing, for those of us who were the favorites. But yeah, so that was my first experience with it.
I would say I was skeptical about getting it on Switch because I was just like, I'm used to playing it on PC.
How's it gonna run?
How's it going to run?
Yeah.
But actually, really well. And it took me a little bit to get the layout of the buttons and the mapping and everything like that to click in my head because it was so different. I'm used to being able to hit key bindings and everything like that for all the things I need to do. And this one requires a little bit more scrolling through all the options, but it still looks great. It plays great. Late game, when there is a lot of cities and a lot of units running around, it does bog down a little bit, but still, it's a great experience, and now it's on the go. I tried to play it on my laptop. It makes my laptop sound like it's going to die and explode. But on the Switch, I was amazed how much I love it. And I have played more Civ 6 on the Switch now than I ever have on my PC version of it, which I've had since launch. So it's like it's just got me back into it so much. So I would say if that goes on sale, definitely pick it up, because again, like you and I both share the love of history and all this stuff, and that's a key part of some of the games we love. I mean, Civ 6, it's all there for that reason, because you just get all that historical wonderfulness.
Or you could say F you to history and realism and the world, and instead play Yoshi's Crafted World.
There you go.
A much better game where you get to play as an adorable little felted Yoshi.
And that one's co-op too, so you get paid to play on it too.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. But yeah, so anything else? Let's see. Well, I guess we're pretty much almost up out of time anyway, so we might as well jump into our soundtrack spotlight and everything. But before we do that, though, if you've played any of these games, have thoughts on anything we've talked about, or
If
want
you
to
have
share
suggestions for Michael.
Oh, yeah. Give us some Switch game suggestions. That would be great, too. Drop those in the comments below, or send us an email at teamchatpocket@gmail.com. Join our Discord server, and you can talk about it with us there. But we'd love to hear all your thoughts and opinions. But before we go, we do have to do our soundtrack spotlight, which Michael has prepared a song for us today.
Yeah, so this was a game I played a lot as a kid, Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Which he brought this up, and I was like, I don't think we've ever
We
talked
never have.
really anything about Banjo and Kazooie, so this is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been so long that I don't remember much of it except for just running around and jumping on things. But that was, I was like 8 at the time.
Yeah.
Like, what else are you going to do? And it was one of those games like I never learned how to actually beat it. But
you still had fun.
it still had fun, and that's what games are for.
Exactly.
And so when we were talking about this, I was just like, well, how much better than to celebrate first time on the podcast than to use one of the soundtracks from one of the very first games that I ever played.
Good solid choice.
Yeah.
So which it's just the main theme?
Yeah,
Or-
it's just the main title theme
Nice.
of Banjo-Kazooie.
And then who was the composer of that one again?
Grant Kirkhope. He also did the GoldenEye 007 for Nintendo 64, Donkey Kong 64.
Wow.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely.
I think he and David Wise are like the two early like 64 like rare guys. Did a lot of the soundtracks for a lot of those games. So
Yeah.
so they're really good. Like they produce some amazing stuff. So stick around for that after the close of the episode, which I mean is pretty much now for the main theme of Banjo and Kazooie by Grant Kirkhope. But until next time, everybody, I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined by my co-host Rachel Mogan
Sayonara.
and our special guest Michael Boyd. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, glad to be
joining
here.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's super great to talk some games with you. Come back next week, everybody, for another fun gaming topic. We'll see you next time. Stick around for the song.